really, it's a gift that he spends time with us during this period of real urgency. He's Spencer Christian, everybody. Yeah.
Happy to be
What up?
with you.
Yeah, really cool of you, my friend. Really cool of you. Uh, I know it's been a rough night across the state, not just the Bay Area, not just Northern California. Southern California is being devastated by these unrelenting rains as well. How do you assess all of this and put it in some perspective, and where are some of the hot spots?
Yeah, well, I've been paying more attention, Mark, to the hotspots here in the Bay Area. I'm certainly well aware that Southern California is getting devastated as well. And the Central Coast, well, I guess you call that Southern California too. South of Monterey, down to San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara, Montecito, those areas are just getting wiped out. I saw, Montecito, as you know, it's the home of many famous celebrities, Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, and others. And I saw Ellen. Oh, there, you've got it right there.
Yeah, here, let's watch Ellen's thing. Albert, play that, will you please?
Montecito is under complete evacuation, the entire town. This is the 5-year anniversary from the fire and mudslides that killed so many people, and people lost their homes, their lives. This is crazy. On the 5-year anniversary, we are having unprecedented rain. This street next to our house never flows, ever. Probably about 9 feet up, and it's going to go another 2 feet up. We have forces ready to evacuate. We need to be nicer to Mother Nature, because Mother Nature is not happy with us. Let's all do our part. Stay safe, everybody.
Yeah.
So it's serious when the rich and famous are having to be evacuated from their homes. It is unprecedented. I mean, we've seen isolated weather events like this before in California, but this is the first time in recent memory, I think, we've seen several consecutive days of devastating weather like this that's creating so much havoc. It's concerning, it's frightening.
Yeah, exactly. And you've detailed this for us before, but the phenomenon by which the soil becomes saturated and then the rains keep coming, that's what's producing these situations that are they're cropping up all over the state, the mudslides and the tragedy associated with many of these mudslides and this flooding.
That's absolutely correct. So when the soil is saturated as it is now, it started, this whole episode began back with the New Year's Eve storm. Remember that? And that dumped heavy rain on the Bay Area and saturated the soil. Then we kept getting rain on top of that, on top of that, on top of that. So the soil gets to a point where, the water has no other place to go but then to run off somewhere. And the soil becomes so loose that it rolls off as well. And as you probably know, mudslides not only can come right after a heavy rain, the soil can wait several days after the rain has ended, sometimes weeks. But because it has, it has no structure, it's loose. It just, at some point it breaks and it slides downhill, and you get the rock slides. And even if we get a little trimmer, when the soil is saturated like this, a little trimmer can loosen all that soil and cause a mudslide.
This is such a great point that Spencer is making. There's sort of a time bomb effect that this all has as even the floodwaters recede and the soil, and as he says, the structure of the land has been so compromised that you end up oftentimes with these mudslides weeks later, and they can be massive mudslides at that. So this anxiety that we now live with about flooding and about mudslides that are going on at the same time that it's raining, that continues actually. I mean, if we want to be reasonable about it, it does continue long after the last drop has fallen.
It does indeed. And then, of course, we have the concern about trees toppling. I mean, we're talking about some huge trees here. It doesn't take a very large tree to do damage if it falls on a structure, on a house, or on a car, or on a person. But these are big trees now that had deep roots, but they can no longer, maintain their balance, their support. They can't stand up any longer because the winds are blowing constantly against them, and they're toppling as well.
What is the forecast, Spencer? What is, as I recall yesterday, you were saying there was a respite coming, and then yet another, I think you said a level 2 after that. But please, I know you have updated information this morning, so go ahead.
Yeah. So, today's storm is a level 2. It looks like we're going to get another storm overnight into tomorrow that will pretty much follow the same path as this one. It'll come on shore around midnight or perhaps a little bit afterward, and produce rain and fairly strong gusts tomorrow. Not quite so strong as the ones we had today. We're expecting gusts today up to between 45 and 60 miles an hour. So the next one comes in late tonight, and it'll produce rain during the morning commute and into at least a good bit of the day tomorrow. Now, Thursday, we think will be a mainly dry day for most of the Bay Area, but it's a little trailing edge of a cold front sweeping through the North Bay that may trigger some showers in the North Bay on Thursday. But much of the Bay Area will probably see some sunshine on Thursday. Same thing may apply to Friday. We're not sure about the Friday system yet. We see a little front that may sweep in a little bit farther south than the one on Thursday. But again, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a significant rain producer, and there will be some periods of sunshine. So to the extent that we can dry out a bit, Thursday and Friday look like the best days to hope for that to happen. But then Saturday looks like another potentially level 2 storm coming in. So we think it'd be a washout.
Can I ask about the Russian River and near the Guerneville folks? Because there was supposed to be some major flooding, and then they downgraded it yesterday to nuisance flooding. That maybe would just be right along the riverbank. So what's the latest? Do you know?
The latest I saw, Kim, was actually last night around, I think it was getting off the 6 o'clock news, so about 7 p.m. And I know they had downgraded the concern about flooding in Guerneville. They said if there was going to be any flooding at all, it would be minor flooding, whatever that means. But I haven't seen anything since then.
Okay.
I'll be going in early today. Well, early meaning like right after I finish the show, and I'll check on the latest see what's going on. That may not do you any good then, but I just
at all.
No, I mean, and shoot it. You can always shoot us a text, and we'll we'll get the information on. I know that yesterday at this time, and I just wanted to be clear about this. There was this thing, we kind of were playful about it, where people from other parts of the country where they have tough weather, they go, oh, you Californians, you just can't handle a little bad weather. I'm from Maine, I'm from New England, I'm from Detroit, whatever it may be, and this is an extraordinary weather event going on in California. Okay, this has produced fatalities. It's produced unprecedented. Unprecedented may not literally be true. Like I think there has been flooding like this, but certainly these are floods that are devastating. They're devastating to property. They're devastating to lives. The amount of water that's coming out of the sky, this atmospheric configuration that has produced these storms, is serious. So that's BS about you Californians, blah blah blah. I get it. We, as I said yesterday. No. You asked about it. It's not you didn't say it. But it's true that we can be a little pearl clutchy when it starts to sprinkle. But this isn't that situation. This is a life and death weather scenario, and I wanted to be clear about that today when we spoke.
Yeah, I appreciate that clarification because you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Mark. The only thing I've seen in my more than 50 years of covering and forecasting weather that's sort of comparable to this. I don't know if you remember this. Exactly 30 years ago, 1993, there were about 3 weeks of constant rains on the Mississippi, up and down the Mississippi Valley. And the Mississippi River from Minnesota to the Gulf of Mexico and all of its tributaries had devastating flooding. And GMA sent me out there for 2 weeks of coverage in the tri-state area of Missouri, Illinois, and Iowa. And I saw floodwaters standing, 20 feet deep, covering the first and second floors of homes, as we've seen in some parts of the Bay Area. I was out on Red Cross rescue boats that had to go through these towns and literally rescue people from the rooftops of their houses because the houses were flooded up to the second floor. And those floodwaters didn't recede for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I fear something like that happening, at least on a smaller scale here, where the floodwaters take so long to recede that not only is the damage so severe that it's tough for people to recover and rebuild their lives, but the contaminants that develop in the water can cause health problems.
That's a great point, and I hadn't even considered it. It's something that you do consider when you look at hurricanes that affect like the Houston area or whatever, the chemical coast, as they call it, of Texas, because they oftentimes get hurricanes off the Gulf. And I know I used to watch you on GMA down there in all these different places. And but I never even considered the fact that, of course, those same things happen here in California as floodwaters begin to inundate areas and things that normally don't get inundated, and you'll end up with chemicals in the water, and that leaches into everything. I mean, it's a serious ripple effect, if you'll pardon the expression. That is, it's pretty brutal. Thank you for that. I didn't even think of it. Hey, man, I'll let you go. You're the best to spend time with us. We really,
I love you guys. Love being with you. So
thanks so much. How about it for Spencer Christian? Spencer will likely put the bat